Hello, Accounting 2. This is Mrs. Alley. We are now in 6.03, or no, 6.01. Sorry about that. 6.01 in our curriculum, but this is 14-3 in your book. 14-3, and we're at work together. We're going to be doing these notes receivable. Notes receivable is just like is just you've loaned money to people, companies, and you're going to get interest for them. That's all it is. It's not like an accounts payable or receivable. An accounts receivable, you will not get interest. A notes receivable, you will earn interest for them borrowing that money. All right. So the money that they borrow is called the principal. The principal, that's how much money they borrowed. The interest is the fee that they have to pay for just borrowing the money. All right. So here in step 1, we have these 2 notes receivables, and it says that they want us to calculate the maturity date. That's going to be done here. The interest rate on the note, that's going to be done here. And the maturity value of the note, that's going to be done here. So we're going to take one note at a time. All right. So we've got the principal, and it says principal right here. This is how much they actually borrowed, $20,000. So that goes in here. It tells us our rate, 8%. That goes in there. It tells us that they only borrowed it for 90 days. 90 days out of a year. Now, because of holidays and stuff like that, we only use 360 days, not 365. But 8% means it's the annual interest rate. So that's for the whole year. But this is only a note that's only for 90 days. So they only have to pay for that 90 days interest, not a full year's interest on this. This, again, is $20,000, the principal. But this is going to be our interest. So what I want you to do is I want you to, and here I'm going to show you an easier way to do it. I want you to do the 90 divided by 360 by itself. So that's why I'm putting the parentheses around it. And then I want you to times it by the $20,000, and then times it by the 8%. So do them separately. Do the 90 divided by the 360, then times the $20,000, then times the 8%, and you should come up with $400. So it costs them $400 to borrow this money. That's what that means. Now over here, we have to figure out what day is it due on? What day is this payment they have to have it all paid back to? And you see here that they borrowed it on June 5th. Well, we don't count the 5th. We start with the 6th. All right. So June 6th through the 30th, June has 30 days. You got to figure out how many days that is. Well, for me, I use my fingers. All right. I use my fingers. But it comes out to 25 days. Is that what you got? 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. 25 days. All right. So I have 25 days. Now notice right here it tells us 90 days. So if June takes up 25 of those, then I'm going to subtract 25 from the 90. So 90 minus 25 gives me 65 days. Well, July has 31 days. August has 31 days. So now I'm going to take 65 minus 31, and that gives me 34. I'm going to do 34 minus 31. That gives me 3. That gives me only 3 days in September. And now I'm down to 0 days. So now September 3rd is the day that it's actually due. Some months have 31 days, some months have 30 days. February normally has 28 days, but sometimes can have 29 days. So you can count it on the calendar, or you can do it this way. Either way. Doesn't matter as long as it's correct. Use your fingers if you need to. All right. So I'm going to erase this stuff. Get rid of this and do that next loan, loan number 4. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to come down here to the bottom part, right here. So that first loan, it asks us what's the interest. The interest was 400. It asks us for the maturity date, the date that this is due back to be paid back. And there it is right there, September 3rd. And then the maturity value is this. How much do they have to pay back completely? Well, it would be $20,400. Now, there's all kinds of reasons why people need a short-term loan like this for just 90 days, why businesses need a loan like this for short-term for just 90 days. All right? And that's all it takes to do this. So now we got the next loan. Do it the same way. We've got 10,000 here. This has an interest of 6%. And this one is being borrowed for 120 days. If you do the math here, and I'll show it to you again. I don't know how to use my pen. This has new features on it. So I'm going to do 120 divided by 360 equals times $10,000 times 0.06. I'm going to do this one first. 120 divided by 360. And then I'm going to do that equals times the $10,000 times this 0.06. It comes out to $200. So I can fill this in right now. $200, 10, 200, right? So now I got to figure out what day is it due. This was taken out on June 12th. So how many days left in June? Well, there's 30 days in June. So 18. July has 31 days. August has 31 days. September has 30 days. So let's do some subtraction. 120 minus 18 gives us 102. 102 minus 31 gives us 71. 71 minus 31 gives us 40. 40 minus 30 gives us 10. October 10th, this is going to be due. Now I'm going to grade my step 1. Let's see how I did. Green checks, green checks, green checks. And that's all it takes for figuring out your due date and your interest. Your due date and your interest. All right, let's go to the next step. Next step says journalize the transactions. Well, it gives us 3 transactions right here. June 5th, accepted a 90-day 8% note from Gary Kinney for an extension on his account. So apparently he had an accounts receivable with us. And he came back and he said, look, I can't pay it on time. Can I take a loan out for it? And we said, yes, you can take a loan out for it, but we're going to charge you 8%. And he said, okay, I'm good with that. So, let's say June 5th, July 5th. July 5th. And this is on page, the example for this is on the top of page 426. Top of page 426. So this notes receivable and is coming out of accounts receivable from, his name was Gary Kinney. Okay, and it says NR5. And it says the dollar amount is $1,800. And that's all there is to that one. We just changed it from being an accounts receivable into a notes receivable because the big difference is a note receivable receives interest. Okay. On July 12th, it says received cash from Mary James for the maturity value of NR1. So she paid off her loan. That's good. 60 days, 9% note, $500. Receipt, 113. So we had to come down here to this, our cash receipts journal. The only thing that goes in this is when you receive cash. All right, so it was receipt 113. And the example for this one is on the top of page 428. 428. And so we're going to start with the notes receivable. And she borrowed $500. Right? Then the next line is going to say interest income. And we got to figure this out. That's the only way we can do it. We got to figure out what her interest is. So remember the formula from the last page? We're going to take 60 divided by 360 and get it equal. And then we're going to multiply it times 500. And then we're going to multiply that by 0.09. It's going to be 60 divided by 360 equals times 500 times 0.09 equals. And it comes out to $7.50. That's all it cost her. That's all it cost her to borrow $500 for 60 days. So over here, this is how much she's actually paying back for the whole thing. And so you have to add these two. Remember, your debits have to equal your credits, right? So you have to add these two. So she actually is paying back $507.50. And that's all there was to that transaction. Now we come back up here and we see that Dennis Kraft dishonored his note, which means he didn't pay it. Straight up, that's what it means. He didn't pay it. So we got to go to our general journal. And this is on page 429, top of 429. So this is the 26th. And he stiffed us for this money. Accounts receivable. Dennis Kraft. Shame on you. M25, memo 25 is our source. It was a 90-day note at 9% for $400. Now we got to figure out how much that total is. We don't know that yet. We know down here we have to put in notes receivable. That was $400, right? Right here, he borrowed $400. And we have to put in interest income. And we got to figure out what it is. How much is that interest? So we're going to go back to our formula. First, we're going to do the 90 divided by 360 equals times 400 times 0.09. 90 divided by 360 equals times 400 times 0.09. And it's $9. So debits have to equal credits. What he stiffed us on really was $409. That's it. Grade step 2. Good. Now the last step is posting, and y'all have learned posting, and we've done posting before, where you go and you post each one of these to the account, and then you plug in the post reference number. So we're not going to do that right now. Let me know if you have any questions. Stay well and stay safe, and I'll see you soon. Bye.